Welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be talking about poverty photography and the ethics around photography. So the general rule is usually just because you can take a picture, it doesn't mean you should take every picture. And I'm going to be talking about a famous YouTuber called Manny Ortiz. If you are a person that watches a lot of YouTube around photography, you've probably come across his channel. He has, I'd say, I think 300,000 plus subscribers on YouTube, and also more than like 300,000 subscribers on Instagram. So yeah, he has obviously done well for himself. Recently, he did a trip to Kenya, and on this trip, I believe it was sponsored by Sony, and they were showcasing new lenses, or rather, they were testing out new lenses. And that's all good and great, but there's one thing he did while he was in Kenya, which was totally shocking to say the least, where he took pictures of young kids, and then how he presented these pictures was, to be honest, personally, and I think most people in Kenya thought that was just degrading because those pictures, first, if you looked at them, they did not tell any story. You're like, what exactly are you trying to depict with these pictures? And what I'm going to do is just show you the pictures quickly. I'm going to obviously blur the faces of the kids, and I'm just going to read the caption he wrote on Instagram with these pictures. So he had uploaded 15 pictures of different kids, and the caption was, "Easily the most precious subject that I've ever had in front of my lens. It's amazing how a photograph can connect people of all the world." And yeah, I didn't get the rest, but obviously this is just like, some self-loathing, self-gratuitous, I'm trying to find the big words to describe this, whereby, he's trying to make himself like, he has been enlightened and whatnot, all these, gibberish bullshit that people keep saying. And you're like, what exactly was the point of one, these pictures, and what exactly was the point of this caption? I mean, he was there, he took so many pictures of wildlife, which personally I think they're great. But again, there is nothing that justifies taking pictures of young kids, especially if they're not your kids. Like, you have no business taking pictures of other people's children. For example, I moved to the UK just over a year ago, and the entire time I've been here, I can imagine there's a few times I've seen kids, just playing around or walking about, and it has never crossed me even once the entire time I've been here to like take pictures, using either my phone or my camera and take pictures of those kids. In this kind of climate, in this kind of society, if I was to do that, I will be branded maybe like, I don't know, a pedophile, or I'll be branded, a foreigner who's, doing all these kind of bad things. So it won't go down well, for me taking pictures of young kids. And it's a bit shocking that so many Europeans and also Americans, when they travel to Africa, and I believe it also to Asia, what is the obsession with taking pictures of kids? This is a discussion that has happened so many times. But it seems like nobody can really give us an answer. Why are people so obsessed with taking pictures of young kids? And I don't know if this is because maybe on the media there's always this, which is something I only came to realize when I moved to the UK. When you watch like, the news, when you watch the TV in general, there's so many adverts from different like, charity organizations about, donating to Africa and all these. And I mean, I'm going to reserve my comments about these charity organizations, but every time you see those adverts, they have, yeah, like, young kids there who are looking like dirty, sad, crying. They have flies on their faces, and you're like, I mean, there is a better way of presenting this, but they have to kind of show all these gloom so that people can donate. Which again, like I said, that can be a totally different video. And so I don't know if that's what has made so many Europeans or, Americans to feel like when they're in Africa, they have to take pictures with these young kids and show them off like a trophy. I mean, I don't know. So maybe someone can explain in the comments below. But again, the problem is with these pictures, especially these pictures that Manny Ortiz took. As a Kenyan, I know automatically two things happened. One, either he was just waiting there for a fly to land on these kids' faces, then take the picture, or the other alternative is he just photoshopped the flies on these kids' faces. So it's one of those two things, because every kid, everybody hates flies. I don't think there's anyone that likes flies, okay? And especially in Africa where there's wildlife, there's all these animals roaming around. It means there's going to be flies. So even when I'm there, obviously there's a few times I'll have a fly And to be honest, sometimes you even just get tired of swatting them because your hand is always like, just trying to, and it reaches a point where you're like, you know what, there's that one fly on your forehead, and you're like, I'm not even going to bother. I'll just leave it there for like a few seconds before I swat it again. And this is very common when you go, especially close to like national parks where there is, more wildlife, more animals, because, people have cows. So there's always be flies, fruit flies, things like that. And yeah, I mean, it's so common. But personally, I've never also seen that on other kids and thought, let me take a picture of that and maybe make a sad story about it. So yeah, again, it's a very strange thing that happens so many times. And as a Kenyan, and I'm sure so many Kenyans were so annoyed when they saw these pictures, and they went and literally bashed Manny Ortiz on his Instagram and YouTube. He even had to disable the YouTube and Facebook comments, no, not Facebook, Instagram comments, because people are literally just now verbally abusing him. And yeah, he did not post any like apology or anything. He did not try to explain why he took those pictures. Again, someone else's kids, presenting them in this way where people can associate these kids with like poverty, and yet probably these kids come from very well-off families, but kids are kids, and kids will always be outside playing, running up and down. And especially for foreigners when they are in Kenya, or imagine other places in Africa or Asia, kids are curious people. They'll see you being, I don't know, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian, whatever race you are. If kids have not seen or interacted with someone they don't know for, or ever, if kids have not interacted with someone from like a different race, or maybe you have something that piqued their curiosity, like a massive camera, a massive lens, a drone. So obviously these are things which are going to attract kids. Kids will come towards you, they'll try to talk to you. Some of them will be afraid, and this is normal. So at no point am I bashing curiosity, that you should not talk to kids. Yeah, definitely, it's a good way to maybe enlighten them on things they've never known about. If you're from, let's say, a different race, let's say China, and there are not so many Chinese in Kenya, then you interact with kids. That's totally normal. That's just kids feeding their curiosity. But I think there's a line that has to be drawn when it comes to you now taking your picture, your camera, and taking photos of these kids, especially in such a manner where you're literally degrading these kids. And again, like I said, this is so common. It happens so many times. People keep complaining about it, and it seems there's still this obsession from a lot of foreigners with wanting to take pictures of children, especially if Africans are to try and do the same thing in European countries. They will literally be put in jail for, or accused for so many other things. Whenever you're visiting any country, it doesn't have to be like Africa, even if it's in Europe or wherever, avoid taking pictures of kids. There must be a line of ethics where, especially in a case where you're not telling any story, because in this case, clearly Manny Ortiz wasn't telling any story. For him, it was just a photo opportunity to gain likes or whatever. And it even saddens me to know that he still has these pictures in his hard drive somewhere. And nobody knows what he's going to do. Maybe if 10 years from now, he'll be like, I'll open a charity, and then I'll use these photos to be like, oh, I've started a charity raising money for all these poor kids in Africa, because that has happened again. So I'm not talking about fictitious scenarios. That has happened where foreigners will go to Kenya, take pictures of young kids, or take pictures of even maybe people with disabilities, just minding their own business, living their life, take these pictures, and then they go back to back home to their countries, and they use those pictures to literally con people from their countries that they started a charity, sponsoring these kids or this disadvantaged group of people. So it happens so many times, and that's why when nowadays, maybe so for some foreigners, they can confirm that when they go to Africa, they might find some kind of hostility where people are like, yeah, we don't want to see cameras here. This is where it all started. It's because so many people took advantage of such situations. And again, it's not like Maniotis uploaded a picture where he's taking a selfie with the kids. No, it's him literally doing a photo shoot of these kids who are, I'm guessing they were just like minding their own business and playing around. So yeah, I'm going to end this rant by saying, please, 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 as a photographer, you should always mind your ethics. There's always, yes, it's legal, you can do it, but I mean, take a step back and try and just think about it. Do you really want to take that picture? What story are you telling with that picture? There has to be a line that doesn't need to be crossed, especially, and in this case, a photo that does not tell any story. Again, just because you can take the picture doesn't mean you should. Yeah, and that is the end of this kind of a long rant. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.